Oh, and welcome back to the Argyle CX UX Leadership Forum. My name is Eric Wallace with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our esteemed speaker. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsor's virtual booth at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. To ask questions during the session, simply type into the Q&A chat and we'll address your questions at the end of the session. Now, without further delay, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Today, we have Shai Barak, who is Senior Director for User Experience at Lumeris. We're excited to have Shai with us for a keynote presentation called Using Marketing Data and UX Research to Power Your Digital Transformation. Welcome, Shai. Over to you.
Thank you, Eric, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you, Argyle, for inviting me. I must say, it's always hard to do these online. I don't get real-life feedback from the audience, so I'll just imagine you, after a long day of keynotes and a lot of interesting information, just having your lunch, maybe late lunch, and sipping your coffee and relaxing into your seat, and hopefully curious about what's the next 15 minutes are going to be about. So let's jump right in. Are you familiar with that Winter Olympic sports called curling? That's where they push a stone on a sheet of ice, and then they keep sweeping the ice in front of it, essentially navigating the stone until it lands into a target. Well, the same goes for customer and user experience. Our customers begin their interaction with a certain momentum, an intention, if you will. And it's our job to create the shortest, seamless path to fulfillment. So I open with this analogy because at the end of the day, to achieve this, today's companies must be technology-first digital companies. Let's take Starbucks, for example. Starbucks interact with me in and out of the store. My affair with them is no longer about a cup of coffee. It's about Shai Barak, who usually orders grande cappuccino with oat milk and a banana nut bread. I order it while sitting in a red light at the same intersection every Thursday at 3:30, and I always pick it up from the same store. And they know all of that about me, and they make it easier for me to do it every time I go there into their mobile app. My car, for example, already knows where I'm going before I even get in. My gym equipment sets me up with the type of classes and instructors that get me most motivated about working out. And I'm going to spare you what my pizza oven company knows about me just through using their app. Digital transformation has many aspects. And I do not want to ignore the fact that upgrading and adjusting your technology stack and infrastructure is a fundamental part of it. But as an experienced designer today, I'll be speaking specifically about the user experience aspect of it. As we consumers, as we are looking for simplicity in our interactions with the outside world. Our best brand experiences are where we feel that the brand actually gets us, that they know us, and that they meet our needs. One of the basic psychological human needs is to be seen. And a brand that provides an experience that meets that wins customers and wins their loyalty. For many years, as technology became an integral part of every line of business, companies had an inside-out approach when developing a product or a service. An inside-out approach meant when a company uses whatever technology and resources it already has to build some sort of a product, regardless of how relevant this technology is, and then they launch the product and expect the user to already know or to figure out themselves how to use their product. Whereas an outside-in approach actually says, let's first understand what our customers need, how they would like and expect to interact with us, and then get the right technology and resources to build that product. So in order to do that, we need to intimately know our customers, and that's where marketing data and UX research come in. If you're a marketer, you know where your data comes from and how deep it goes. Companies collect information about customers through a wide range of sources: your website analytics, your social media channels, if you do customer surveys, your sales data, and even from personal information that your customers voluntarily provide every time they sign up for your services and they hit that accept button without reading the terms. So with the data that these channels collect, we learn a lot about our customers' demographic, their preferences, their behaviors, like purchase patterns, for example, how satisfied or dissatisfied they are, how loyal they are. But what do we do with all this data? Well, this data helps us segment our audience, so we'll know exactly how to target who we're building our product for, and helps us just define who are our customers really. UX experience, user experience research focuses on understanding how users interact with the environment. So it's specifically about, we talk specifically about digital products and services, that we can also research real world environments as well if we need to. What UX research aims for is to uncover pain points and frustrations in user experiences. And actually, if done well, we can provide user an opportunity to tell us how they would like things to be different. And by the way, this is how many of the most brilliant features that you see out there, how they came from, by asking the user, what do you want? How would you like things to be different on our platform or product? So what happens when we combine the two? Well, now we can compose a holistic view of the customer journey. User experience begins way before they flip their device screen on. It begins way before they stand in front of their laptop. The interaction that our customers have with our product is just a sliver in their rich life filled with goals and obstacles and mental states, needs and expectations. So by crossing the data from marketing sources and analytics and the interviews we do and testings that we do, we can compose a fairly accurate persona and an interaction map of our customers. Because really, essentially, in order to build that seamless and personalized journey, we really need to know our customers' world almost as much as we know ourselves. Maybe the most valuable benefit of leveraging such a comprehensive user persona is really the ability to tailor experiences that meets our customers where they are and allows us to hand them exactly what they came for, without having them to go and search and find and figure it out. And we can even get more powerful with customers' data when in our companies it is streamlined directly into our product and development workflows. And what I mean by that, if you're a product owner and you have an agile decision-making process, imagine how useful it is when you can have real-time data streamed to you, and you can then make decisions quickly and adapt and change your product based on your customers' demands and the changing dynamics. So I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened just a couple of years ago. I looked at a member's digital experience for a Medicare Advantage health plan. And this is a company that have been around for many years. And as most non-tech companies do, they build their digital experience off of various vendors and off-the-shelf products. So just by plainly navigating through the sites and member portal, it was very clear to me that one, this company doesn't want their members to interact with them online. In fact, the most frequent and prominent call to action on the site was to send users from the website to the call center. The other thing I noticed is that information was not easy to find, and the site itself was really confusing. And this is for me, who I consider myself somewhat digitally native. I can't imagine a senior person, which is the target audience, having the patience or the know-how to get through the hurdles of finding what they need. Which leads me to another observation. The website didn't pass the accessibility test. And for a company whose target audience by definition requires catering to special needs, this was a big no-no. More than that, because of the multiple vendors that strung the experience together, users usually had to go or to jump through 2 different sites and web behaviors, and sometimes even different login credentials before they actually got to where they needed. When I asked the stakeholders, why is that? The simple answer that I received was that they just didn't believe that their customers actually use or want to use their web services. So then you must ask, well, what came first? An uninviting digital experience? Or is it really that users are just unwilling to go digital? So what I've done, I pulled all the website analytics that they had, and I was able to, that was very quick, but I was able to conclude that at least 25% of their members actually begin digital interactions on their sites. And I was also able to show where they typically lose them. And that's usually where they have this jump from one experience to the other. And that usually throws people off, and there's a bunch of warnings on the screens. The other thing we've done is that we sent out a survey to their members via email of all channels. And just as a side note, marketing had all these members' emails for a long time, and they never sent an email to their members. So the first thing we sent was a survey, right? And we had about 24% response rate, which is a lot. The questions that we asked were not only about how they, use their health plan. We wanted to learn about senior folks' interactions in the digital space. So we asked about how they manage their finance, for example. Do they bank online? How much do they do online with banking? Where do they do shopping? What are their favorite websites? When do they get frustrated online? How do they prefer to get services, whether it's through customer support on the phone, through chat? So we really tried to understand how our users use the digital world. And we went further. We then went out and talked one-on-one with over a dozen members. And in the same manner, we learned about what's important to them these days. We really want to understand what's a day in the life of a 65, 70-year-old person. And what is it that they like to do to accomplish and do online? What type of digital services they use? So all of this combined allowed us to put together a detailed and intimate profile of our user. And this is what we found out. We found out that those that do use the internet frequently would prefer to manage their health plan online as well. We know that they are frustrated with poor design when they cannot easily find what they're looking for. We also learned something that was very critical, is that when they go online to interact with the health plan, interact with the company, they actually have a particular goal in mind. So this is the opposite. They don't go online to get a dashboard view of how their health plan is working for them. It's not like you go in and look at your stock portfolio, you want to see where your money is. The typical health plan user, they go online to the member portal because they have a task in hand and they want the quickest way to get the information they came in for. And the last thing that was very clear also is that they said the more they can self-serve, the better. And in all of this, I think we got the answer to our primary research question, which was, how digitally savvy is our audience? And to me, this quote right here says it all, right? If a 75-year-old person can do their taxes by themselves via TurboTax, I'm sure they expect to manage their health plan online as well. So this example, as I just shared with you, speaks to the power of data. We didn't have to go far to find it, right? Marketing teams had all our members' emails and demographics, and they also held on to all the web analytics. Our UX research team designed a very thoughtful survey and interview questions. And we just had to review our findings, develop a target audience for a digital experience. And later, it was very easy to just design this digital experience that matches what these folks wanted. It was based on on journeys that fit our customers' world, needs, and expectations. So how do you bring that into your company? Well, if I had to sum it in these very high level, but hopefully some sort of a playbook of how to do this is, the first thing is you want to foster a data-driven culture. Data about our customers can come from everywhere. It can come from call center recordings, for example. By the way, I highly recommend listening to those. You get so much by hearing a real customer's voice, especially the time when they need support. So that's a real gem if you can do that. Sales reps have a lot of knowledge to share. Your marketing channels produce feedback all the time, in real time. And something that you must have is some sort of product analytics and web analytics. So that's another real-time monitor of what's happening with your product. So I highly encourage cross-functional collaboration and promote data-driven decision-making as a core value. It just happens that your most valuable data can be in the hands of someone on the other side of the org chart, and you just never really figured that that's where it's at. The second thing is invest in research. Dedicate a research resource to collect and analyze and interpret marketing data and UX research. And when you have that research function, when you have it established, embrace a culture of continuous iteration and improvement, constantly gathering feedback, testing, generate recommendations to refine your digital experiences, and meet the ever-evolving customer expectations. So these were my words. And just so you know a little bit about myself and why does it matter, my name is Shai Barak, and I've been designing digital assets and experiences for close to 20 years now. About 10 years ago, I worked for a very large IT company within their innovation organization. And over there, we started to define and author the roadmap for digital transformation. And later, we took these ideas to our customers in the different industries. In recent years, I have been spending time implementing these concepts in healthcare, which by itself is an industry where there's a lot of room for transformation. Aside from that, I'm passionate about human psychology and behavior. And I actually spend a few hours of my work week providing life coaching to individuals who are interested in personal growth. And with all that being said, I'm happy to take any questions that you have about this presentation, and feel free to get in touch with me offline. Here's my LinkedIn information. Just don't try to sell me anything. And thank you very much for sticking around.
Great. Thank you, Shai, for that insightful presentation. Just as a reminder, audience members can still enter in questions into the Q&A section of the interface. Now we're going to review some of the questions that have come in. The first question is, what type of analysis would you perform to make sure the data is accurate?
Typically, what we do is we try to do some cross data between two different types of research. So what two different types of sources. So like earlier I mentioned, we had a survey, but then we also took a step further and we decided to talk to people ourselves. So just to see if there's a match. Hopefully that answers it.
Great, thank you. The next question is, we are struggling to get started using our marketing data to inform improvements to our CX. Do you have any advice for us?
So I'm trying to think how to approach this. I mean, one way to look at it is really as a culture in your company, how close these two organizations are. As your customer experience part of your marketing organization? Is it part of your technology organization? Either way, I would start with building processes. First of all, doing some sort of a check of what data sources you have, and then Also, what are the digital experiences that you're building, and then start to see how you weave these together. But I would start with culture as like, we have to share information. We have to share, it's not just one person having access to your Google Analytics or whatever platform you're using. There needs to be some sort of a cadence of reporting of what's happening with our customers, and have that shared with the different teams.
Great, thank you. The next question is, what do you do when your UX research provides insights that your senior leadership team really urgently does not want to hear?
Well, lobbying and evangelizing UX research is a role by itself, something that I've been doing for a while. Two things about that. One, again, going back to culture, if you're on the side of the UX research, it's on you to teach and educate your product and engineering teams and your leadership that where design and UX comes in the product development process. If you're familiar with design thinking process or any of these processes, the design and the research comes in very early. There's a reason for that. You can just, plainly, I can just say, just can save a lot of money and just going and, building $1 million products that don't mean anything to anyone. So the first thing is about educating. The second thing is, I can't imagine if you come to a stakeholder or an executive with real numbers, like, if you send a survey, or if you do conduct interviews, it can be really short numbers where they can say, oh, it's only, a handful of people. I don't buy that. But if you have a survey, or if you get a study that was done, like, a few hundred people, and there's a very strong conviction about, these people want X, Y, and Z, and I can't imagine an executive not reading it. And if they do, they have their own reasons. It's not. It really depends where you are in the organization. I always say, that some people have a much larger view of what's going on, what's the strategy than I do. So I'm always open to hear their what is it, but definitely argue with your findings.
Great, thank you. So what's the biggest mistake you've seen companies make in trying to gain insights from their marketing data, and how did they get past it?
Well, the biggest mistakes I see is that they don't go back to validate. So they do some sort of they go out, they research, they collect data, and they think they know what they're going to do, and they go out and develop something, and they don't test it along the way. They don't go back to the user, they don't go back to the customer and validate before they proceed. I think I mentioned, like, having an iterative approach, a constant validation cycle with your user, constant communication with your user is very important. I think most company, they're like, if it's not in their DNA, they build a product, they may do the design phase, the UX and marketing data phase early on, they build a product, and they never bother to come back and validate what they built. And usually the longer it takes to build a product, the farther away it deviates from the original intention and recommendations of your data.
Thank you. So the next question is, how do you think the field of marketing data management will evolve over the next couple of years?
These are really big questions. I'm totally like not spending the amount of time I want to think about the answers. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear this question is, like, with all the hype and evolution of artificial intelligence, I think we're going to get smarter about where our data comes from and how to analyze it. We're going to get quicker. I think the platforms, even the data management platforms out there, are going to get smarter as well, and they're going to be more actionable in their recommendations. And with all that being said, I just read an article yesterday that, how currently GPT fail rate is much greater than it was a few months ago. So I think there's always some sort of a human piece to it. And I would say a lot of the human piece has to come with a lot of understanding of human behavior and human psychology. So hopefully that interacts there as well.
Great, thank you. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Shai, for that incredible keynote. And I want to thank everyone in the audience for joining us today, and also say thank you to our sponsor, Zoom. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. This concludes the Argyle CX UX Leadership Forum. Thank you again for joining us today and engaging in our content. Have a great rest of your day.